So, hi Ali, welcome to Vanessa Loves. Vanessa Loves is where we have conversations around what really matters, a place where we feel deeply connected to self, others, and the planet. And today, Vanessa loves Ali Lewin. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm really well, Vanessa. How are
Oh,
you today? You enjoying the sunshine?
the sunshine, oh my gosh, yeah, it's absolutely running through my veins today. I'm loving it completely. But
I
go
was just going to say we should be so grateful, even though it's locked down, we should be so grateful the sun is shining to give us some breath of fresh air and a sign that spring and summer are coming.
Oh, absolutely. So that we can actually at least get out and enjoy the fresh air, can't we? No, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well, you look lovely and sunny today. So thank you for joining me.
You're very
But
welcome.
I wanted to chat with you because we're in very similar lines of work. We feel we're incredibly passionate about what we do, and we feel it really matters in the world right now. And I thought I'd love to have a conversation with you. So let's just start at the beginning, sweetheart. Tell me and us how you got to doing what you do right now, and what is it that you do?
Well, first of all, I say that I'm a personal development coach, life coach, whatever you want to call it. I'll go by any title. And you know what, Vanessa, it started over 20 years ago when I worked for McDonald's for 12 years.
Brilliant. Love
12 years at McDonald's. And yes, I started off flipping burgers, but then I progressed really quickly and took the management program. And I was a restaurant manager for many years that I was at McDonald's, and I loved it. I thought the company was fantastic. But the one thing about being a manager was being that mentor for other people.
Right.
And it was being that person that I didn't want to just be the boss. I wanted to be different from how I'd seen other people, being my boss. And I kind of wanted to have that mentor relationship. And I was so proud, Vanessa, because, early on in my career, I won a McDonald's award for promoting the most people within the organisation.
Wow.
And training the best managers that had come through. And I thought, you know what, this is brilliant, because what I really love is seeing something in somebody, and then giving them that gentle nudge.
Yeah.
And it's like seeing a butterfly coming out of a chrysalis.
Absolutely.
When you see something in somebody, but they perhaps either don't see it in themselves, don't have the confidence to run with it.
Yeah.
And I loved that about my work at McDonald's, which was nurturing people, watching them grow. And in fact, you know what, Vanessa? I saw many people rise above me, and eventually they became my boss.
Wow.
And I was cool with that, because
Yeah.
I was so proud
Yeah.
that they'd got to where they aspired to be.
Yeah. Because
So
it wasn't about being the boss for you. It was about nurturing that magic in somebody that they just didn't see themselves, and that's why it didn't matter to you whether they climbed the ladder higher than you. That's fantastic.
Absolutely, it was completely about that, because I got the restaurant manager, which was my goal in the company, and I didn't really want to go any further, because that kind of took me away from the front line.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be office based. And the funny thing is, I really didn't want to go into the training department either, because I liked working with my people, because I got to hire them, I got to choose them, and then I got to nurture them, which for me was brilliant.
Yeah.
So to go back that 20 years, when I left McDonald's, which was actually 20 years ago, in the year 2000, I left McDonald's with my head held high, with a degree in management and psychology. And then I studied for a master's degree in HR, but realised that, HR really wasn't the route I wanted to take. So I set myself up as a mentor. And I used to go into all the local schools in the Lancashire area. So we're talking Burnley, Burnley, Blackburn, Oldham, Rossendale, and all of those areas.
Wow.
And I used to go into the schools, and I used to teach the 16-year-olds to 18-year-olds what I called basic life skills and communication skills.
Fantastic.
So I was hired as an outside professional, if you were. And you know what, it would be basic, but if a 16-year-old was leaving school, I'd teach them how to walk into a room,
Yeah.
how to make that eye contact,
Yeah.
even what to wear, how to walk, how to be proud of who they were, how to shake a hand, how to sit in the chair.
Yeah, but we're not taught that at school necessarily,
No,
are we?
absolutely
Well, not back then.
Not back then. So it kind of developed from there, because I thought, this is really powerful stuff.
Mm.
So then I thought, I want to be a teacher, because is that as good as it gets as nurturing? So I retrained as a teacher, believe it or not, and I started working in Preston College, and I taught team building. Now, the funny thing was, Vanessa, I was stuck in a classroom of A-list footballers of the time, right?
Yeah.
We're talking the early 2000s. None of any of the names I can remember, and probably they won't remember me. But these guys played for Arsenal, they played for Chelsea, they played for Liverpool, they played for whoever,
Yeah, the big teams.
the big teams. But the government at the time, it was Tony Blair at the time, had said, these apprentice guys who are 18, 19, they're not all going to make first division football. They're not all going to earn the mega bucks. They need to have a kind of second trade.
Yeah.
So it was my job to go in and teach them life skills, so that if they didn't get chosen for the first team, they had something to fall back on, basically.
Yeah.
So that was hilarious, because I'd go in, I'd go, come on, boys, we're doing some team building today. Get up on your feet, hold hands. Well, the abuse I'd get, Vanessa, because, I'd say, out on the field, guys, do you know the things you do to each other on a football pitch?
Yeah.
And that they wouldn't hold hands in a classroom situation.
Wow.
So that was really strange. And then I took a break from kind of being self-employed, and I went back into employment. And then that was only for 3 years. And in 2003, I became self-employed again. So I've been self-employed for 17 years.
Well done.
So I've done my degree in management and psychology. Then I did my postgraduate teaching. And it was kind of about that time that I learned about NLP. And I thought, this is incredible.
And NLP being
neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
And I think it had been born in around the 70s. So I was, a good 30 years late jumping on the bandwagon kind of thing of learning about it. But I started to read all these books about it, and I thought it was so powerful. So I joined an organisation called the Coaching Academy, who are phenomenal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I trained as a personal development coach while I was running my own business, and things just sort of progressed from there. And then I got to, I hate to say it, but I got to my mid-40s, and I suddenly just, realised that my one burning ambition I hadn't realised.
And that was?
To be an actress.
Of course, yes.
So I'd started acting around the year 2000, and I'd done a few bits of commercials. I'd managed to get an agent somehow, and I'd been on a few TV programs and stuff like that. And then I thought, no, because I'm the type of person that if I say to somebody, I can do that, I like to show the certificate to prove that I can do it.
So you walk your talk.
I walk my talk, absolutely. So I ran away to London, and at the tender age of 44, and
in your prime,
I went to drama school and trained as an actress. But again, Vanessa, the funny thing was, I'm at drama school, I'm 44. The rest of my peer group and friends were 21, 22.
Good for you.
So I was kind of a mummy figure. The go-to figure, why does he hate me?
Well, the natural mentor again. Yeah, exactly. You sort of slipped into that role again. So maybe you could call it divine.
Exactly.
Call it divine.
So it's really funny, because when I eventually, because I'd got my coaching certificate already, and I found myself mentoring on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And then eventually now it progressed that I now work at the Actors Centre in London, and a lot of the people that I coach and mentor with the NLP, which is why my company is called Actonit,
yes,
is performers who just lack a little bit of confidence in what they do. You know, they've got this realization,
Yeah.
and they've got this dream, but the thought of going out there and doing it
Yeah.
terrifies them.
Yeah, they're not frightened of hard graft, but the word that came to mind was sort of je ne sais quoi, that kind of like that extra sort of spark that you can't, I don't think, is there through hard work. You need hard work to be able to get that out there, if you like. But so
so we've kind of come full circle.
Yeah,
we can, and so that's where I am at the moment, kind of just you know, spending full time working with people. I mean, I've obviously since my training, and it's continual learning, as you know. You know, and I'm now looking into the area of CBT.
Yes.
So I've got that combined with the NLP, and you know, the natural coaching and mentoring that I do. You know, and I'm finding that clients, especially in this particular climate, are coming to me more anxiety based than confidence based. So that's something I'm really focused on at the moment.
And there's a lot of anxiety and depression out there anyway, regardless of any outside situation that we might find ourselves in. But where we do find ourselves at the moment with the pandemic going on in the world is that it's highlighting people's anxiety and depressions, isn't it? And you know, it's so good to hear that you have applied yourself to all sorts of trainings throughout your working life, and it really sounds very much like my story, the fact that you've just followed your heart. You've found yourself here, which has led to that, and then as a result of that, you've led to that. That is such a beautiful way to be, and we can only teach from experience. We can only teach what we know. We can't teach where we do not go, right? If we're going there ourselves.
Absolutely, Vanessa, and you know, the empathy is something that you can't manufacture.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through times in my life when I've needed a counsellor for, you know, I've actually gone for grief counselling in the past. I've when I lost my mum, that was the most devastating thing that had ever happened to me in my life, and I am welling up now, and I needed a grief counsellor.
Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't enjoy it, and I thought, I need to put this right, because there's people out there like me that need this, and for some people, I just, you know, I just felt that the people that I came across in that line of work, it was almost as if they were a plumber, a fix your pipe, love, you know, but there was no connection.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm feeling, and that's my question, is that you've applied yourself to all sorts of trainings and knowledge, right? Your wisdom comes from your learnings and your training, but equally your own experiences, right? So the two going together, you know, we can learn all sorts of amazing techniques and tools, and it's really fabulous to have a whole portfolio of stuff to share. And I've been on some of your workshops and worked with you, and you have some amazing, really simple techniques. And let's be clear about that. This stuff is not easy, but it is simple. But what makes, I think, a powerful coach, and you touched on it, is the fact that you've experienced life yourself, and you know how this energy game works, right? You attract what you are. So if you are applying yourself to all these amazing techniques, and you've had these whatever experiences, that makes you then the more powerful coach and mentor, helping hand, you know, whatever it might be that person needs, that guidance, that support to move through that part in their life. So have you found that your challenges have particularly honed your skills, if you like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, like you, Vanessa, I've worked with you, and we had this conversation the other day about, you know, you are so full of joy. You know, you're the epitome of everything you stand for. And I hope that I convey that as well, because I kind of live, breathe and die by my own philosophy.
Yeah.
I would hate to be the type of person that just spouted stuff at other people that didn't believe it. And I think to be the best coach and the best mentor that you can, you've got to have that conviction. And I find that you know, there are good and bad coaches out there, and I've come across both. There are people that I've attended their workshops, you know, yourself included. You did that fabulous one. It's inspiring, and it makes you leave the room on a high and motivated. And I truly hope that that's the service I give to my clients, because if I didn't, I'd walk away from the industry, because I would be doing the client a disservice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, it's inspiration and motivation for sure, because that's almost the fuel in the tank that we need. But I think also what makes you different is the fact that you help people see themselves. So you don't just wind them up and send them out, you inspire them and motivate them, right? That's essential. But what I think is so beautiful about this work and the work that you do is that you shine a spotlight on the deepest, darkest parts of people that they didn't even think existed. That for me is where the gem is in this work. That for me is where a really good coach and somebody who is connected, as you say, lives and breathes their philosophies. You can't, oh, I'm getting tingles as I say this, you can't teach that to somebody. You just can't. And because you've been there, and, you know, we could be here for hours with, you know, the challenges and stuff that, you know, that you face. But I think it's so humble, and it's just such a beautiful quality that you have, is that we know what you've been through, because that's how good you are. That's how how much you resonate with that part of people. And that for me is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on, because confidence can be seen as something that you could just put on and then take off, or, you know, confidence, you could see confident people by the, you know, by the way they, you know, they hold themselves. But for me, if you slice somebody down the middle, that for me is whether you know whether they're truly confident or not. And it's a different, again, an energy of I am confident and I bulldoze my way through life is very different to I love who I am, I accept who I am, that confidence. And I'm getting tingles again as I say this. When you tell us about how you nurtured those youngsters right from your very first career in working at McDonald's, right? It's, you know, let's not frown upon the fact that you flipped burgers and how you worked by connecting with people and holding a mirror up to them and saying, look, this is what I see. And it's,
no, it's really
just such a beautiful quality in you.
Oh, thank you.
I really admire that.
I think one of the things I was most proud of is obviously Saturday afternoon in a McDonald's restaurant is the most busiest time. So you've got those core times from 12 till 2.
Yeah.
And we adopted this philosophy where I, as the restaurant manager, could walk round and I could, you know, I could have spent 2 hours going, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right.
Yeah.
My 2 hours were spent, and we used to have it was in our restaurant that I would walk around and catch people doing things right.
Yes.
And I would hold them up and reward them in front of everybody. And I'd say, this is what it's like to be good.
Yes.
You know, it's so rewarding to be good, but for yourself. Not for anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And not good because it's right, but good because it's true, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's funny because I think back to my childhood, Vanessa, and you know, my mum had me as a single parent. She was 18 when she got pregnant. And, you know, that was very difficult way back in the 1960s. And even, you know, I told you I was reading this book, Philomena, and it's so close to home, even though we're not a Catholic Irish family.
Yeah.
You know, the similarities between Liverpool and Dublin and Belfast, you know, are so tight. And, you know, when I was a little girl and I used to think back and I'd say to my mum, I want the blue one because everyone's got the blue one. And my mum would say, well, be red, wear red and be different.
Love that. So your mum was a real influence for you in your life.
Oh, she was so wise for such a young woman.
Yeah.
You know, but she taught me to be fearless. And I grew up in a household full of men. Wow. My mum had 8 older brothers. And my granddad was a real Liverpool hard knock. You know, but when it come to me, a child, he was just phenomenal. He was just the most amazing influence in my life.
Oh.
And he'd just say, this is what he used to say to me, you know what, kid, you can be anything you want in this world. And forgive me, he'd say, no BASTARD is going to give it you. You have to go and work for it.
Well done. Good
you
for
know
you. So that instills values of, first of all, take responsibility, which so many people don't. You know, God, I've lived a lot of my life where in a victim place where I was like, oh, why me, why me? And then until you wake up to yourself, and gosh, we dip into that. Of course, we are human, and we have dips, but taking responsibility for yourself is one of the first stages. The awareness of that and the responsibility is one of the first hurdles in personal development, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And involvement.
And I love that, Vanessa. It's brilliant what you've just said there, because whenever I get a new client, the first thing I always say to them is congratulations. Because right now you're owning it. And by taking that first step to seek help, you're owning, you're taking responsibility. And I always congratulate them. You know, it's just fantastic. And at the end of every session, you know, I always say to my clients, well done. You know, and I always, it's funny because I hope I don't get a reputation, but you know, it's whenever I say to a client, this is not going to be easy, you know, and it was somebody who said to me that, you know, to get to the sugar, you've got to go through the shit.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I've kind of rephrased it now, and I say to my clients, do you see the light at the end of the tunnel? You do believe there's one there? And when they say yes, I say, okay, but we've got to go through and transcend that dark tunnel before we get to the light. Because mentoring and nurturing, or however, you know, you want to look at it, it's not easy for the people who are so brave, who come to the likes of me and you and say help.
Absolutely. You know? And our role really is not to tell anybody what to do. I see our role as, I'm here with you side by side. Here's my hand. You know, it's a bit like the image I have a lot when I work with my clients is Thelma and Louise. I'll go if you go. You know, and when I was in my deepest, darkest moments, and you'll possibly agree with me, there were times where I felt very much on my own. And if I had someone like you or me around then, that I really could, I mean, I think, to be fair, sometimes there are parts of it we do have to do on our own, but to be able to just have somebody there to guide you and hold your hand and actually say, there is a light, even if you can't see it, there is a light, it is okay. And even you and I can stand there and say, we are testimony that it is okay. And I have to remind myself of that often, as I'm sure you do, because you've kept going with your training, which is incredibly admirable, and you apply yourself to whatever you possibly can constantly. In the short time I've known you, you've told me you've constantly been in training. But it's not just about the training, is it though, Ali? It's about your commitment to the journey daily, day in, day out, day in, day out. There is no end, because we're just constantly evolving. So what's your commitment to yourself, and how do you apply this work to yourself on a daily basis?
Well, it's interesting that you picked up on that point, Vanessa, because the training is for me. It's for my value that I attach to myself, because for me, knowledge is power. But I used to again, to go back to my McDonald's days, I used to train my managers that knowledge is power, but only if you share it, only if you share the wisdom. And that's what I kind of like to live my life by now. But the reason I continually train is because I'm fascinated, and the more I know, the more I know I don't know.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
there's always something that you could, you know, apply yourself to and train in.
And I mean, I don't know if you can see some of the books behind me, but whenever I learn about maybe a new mentor that I've never come across before there, or, you know, I go on to TED Talks and I listen to these inspirational teachers and these inspirational speakers, it just makes me want more. So that's how I that's my commitment to myself. But then the more I do know and the more I understand, the more I can apply to my client.
That's the thing, and especially with your company, Act On It, it's the application of these things. You know, we can read anything, we can do all these courses, but until we actually put it into practice, it doesn't make its way into our our brain and create neuro pathways for it to then affect our bodies in the application of it. And so practicing what you preach, walking your talk, is something you do daily because of the success you have as a confidence coach, and the fact that people come to you as that personal development. I don't like the word guru, but it's the one that came to mind.
It's
personal development example. Nobody wants to nobody would want your help if they didn't see you living and breathing what you teach, because otherwise you would just be like everybody else.
And I truly believe in that. You know, I wake up of a morning and I make a choice. Am I going to have a good day or am I going to have a bad day? You know, and I love all of these affirmations. I've got plenty of them behind me. And I used to live in New York for a short time, and I was out there on my own, and my wall was just full of affirmations. You know, and I think one of my favorite ones is you can be your own best friend or your own worst enemy. So choose wisely.
Absolutely. Both. You're both. I call it both ends of the stick. So you have just got to make that choice. And I think words like choice are so underrated. So underrated. You know, it's all about the conscious choice, isn't it? And you really, and some of your practices, and I even came across your workbook from the last workshop that we did together, and or I did with you. And the reminders, even though I remind myself of this, and this is my line of work too, there's a real power in being connected with people like yourself and other people on the journey, because you do need the reminder. However committed you are, it's still really important to know that you're in this journey, on this journey together, and that support, so that you can then be a better mentor, coach, friend, guide, whatever it might be for your clients, and then equally friends and family and loved ones.
Absolutely.
We all need that support. We've all got those basic needs, haven't we?
But I think the starting place is to be my best friend and the person that I want to be. So I'm really proud to go out there knowing that I've worked really hard on myself to get to this place. I truly practice what I preach. You mentioned the word simple before. The techniques can be simple, they are simple, but it's surprising how many people are just not in that place to be kind enough to themselves. So if I can give them a gentle reminder, something as simple as smiling at yourself in the mirror.
Absolutely. Somebody wants you.
It's a time.
It's you.
Going on. Yeah, sorry.
No, please don't say that's our time up. Please don't say. No, I'm kidding. But no, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. So I've got one last question then for you that I ask everybody, right? Seeing as we all want to co-create a beautiful future for ourselves, our loved ones, and our planet around us, how do you see your work making a positive impact in our future? What, if you had a magic wand, would you like to see?
Well, you know what, I'd like to see everybody practicing self-love, because I think once you've got the self-love, you nurture the empathy to be kinder to other people. I just really pray that when we come out of this lockdown situation, that we are nicer human beings, we're more empathetic, we're kinder to other people, and we have a better understanding. It's easy. I always think, I always use road rage as the analogy, that it's so easy to beep your horn at the person who's gone flying past you, but you don't know the reason. Maybe they've got someone dying in hospital, the kid's had an accident at school. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So if someone rams your trolley at the supermarket, you don't know what crap they're going through. So just be empathetic. Stop being so angry at the world, and I think our work can really help people to nurture empathy, which is such an important quality to have, and not everybody has it.
No, I totally agree with you, or is aware of the fact that they are in control of it. And that is such,
exactly,
it's such a beautiful note to finish on, because I use that analogy myself a lot, because I think everybody has experienced it. And again, it comes back down to choice, you know, and it's, this is what I have control of. And you talk a lot about your mind and your thoughts, and you know, we have control of that. So if that's the only thing we've got control of ourselves, rather than anything outside of ourselves, then, you know, my God, what a beautiful world it would be if we were all a bit more empathetic.
Absolutely. And choice is such a beautiful thing to have. We should practice gratitude that we have choice.
Yeah, exactly. Be grateful I'm grateful, or be grateful I've got the choice to be grateful. You could go on forever, couldn't you? We could certainly go on forever and ever and ever. I will let you get back to your reading, my lovely. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is an absolute pleasure. I loved spending time with you, and it is definitely a blessing for me that you're in my life. So thank you for joining me today, and I will catch up with you soon, sweetheart. God bless you now. Bye.
Bye-bye.